said, man.
Hi-oh. All right, Chad, I'm going to skip the basic, like, hey, this is the introductory. We're going to get right to weapon tuning. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to post this on YouTube later. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you check out my boy Sep over on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/ SEPARER. Hopefully I said that right. I wanted to make sure I didn't put too many E's or A's or whatever. Dude, I'm like Sep. I just call him Sep, dude. All right. Anarchy, they killed my boy. Okay, so next week's update is ushering in a new season and a big sandbox update to go with it. We've already covered ability tuning, armor, and mod changes here, and now it's time to go over what is changing with weapons. Here is future lead Chris Proctor with the full rundown. Today, it's Chris again. We've got a lot to talk about with Season 15, including stasis weapons.
Stasis weapons aren't as scary as people make it sound. It's just an element.
I think it's just elemental.
People freak out.
Yeah.
It's just an element because, like, solar weapons don't burn you. Or
yeah. It's just a cool element.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be pretty blue.
I think it'll be cool because stasis shields on enemies could be, like, adding a new type is cool, but we can get...
I think adding more shields would make PvE more, like... You have to think more about your loadout, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want to see.
Okay. A rework of fusion rifles, several changes to make it make certain weapons more relevant in the new activity with the new artifact mods. Let's kick off by clarifying some terminology. Nothing like going and getting a dictionary before we get started. Okay, so they're basically clarifying a bunch of terms, and Sep can help us tell us a little bit more about that if he wants, or anything you want to throw in. Internally, fall off. We use fall off minimum maximum to mean start and end, but moving forward, we'll use these externally using damage as an example, but the same logic applies to aim assist and whatnot. Damage fall off start is the damage at which fall off begins or stops doing maximum damage. Damage fall off ends, the damage at which damage fall off ends or hits the damage floor.
Yeah, so damage, from what I can tell, literally never ends. But that's when, like, hey, this target's so far away, your hand cannon's hitting for 17, right? That is the damage fall off end is when you do literally as little damage as possible. Meanwhile, when the start, it's like it takes off 2% damage. It's doing the start is like your max range, essentially.
Yep. Projectiles. We've used various terms to describe these types externally, including borrowing terms from other genres. Oops. But have settled on these. Hit scan, a projectile that instantly hits. This applies to most weapons in the game. For example, auto rifles, hand cannons, fusion rifles, fully drawn bows at most distances. Non-hit
I'm really
scan.
scared they're bringing up that.
Yeah, that's a little funky, and you'll have to talk more about it because that, like, it makes sense to me, but I think maybe you can offer more perspective on it.
It just means the second you shoot, these weapons are instantly regging. But why are they bringing up what's hit scan and what's not hit scan?
Especially in a
things have time travel
in a game that doesn't have like a dedicated server. Oh my god. Okay.
If you have to start leading your shots, this game would be changing a lot.
Okay, so then on the other side of it, non-hit scan, a projectile with travel time, sometimes having physics bounces and often having explosive damage and are homing. For example, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, partially drawn bows, and how specific is that? Jotun.
Yeah.
Okay. Shotguns. Oh man, here we go.
Are we nerfing shotguns again?
I mean, I thought they nerfed them enough. I mean, they're not super
really
powerful.
Shot right now.
Yeah, they're not as great as they could be. All right, spread angle.
For the record, where the meta stands right now, I've already given up and I'm using lightweights and shooting twice almost every time. I am now preparing to shoot twice.
You've been using Retro Futurist, right?
Yeah.
I've been when I've been watching your streams and lurking, I've just been watching.
I'm now preparing not to one-hit people already.
Well, we'll find out.
If they nerf them again.
Spread angle is the cone that pellets come out in, not to be confused with any other types of cones. This determines the size of the outer ring below. Destiny 2 shotguns don't have pure RNG for pellet distribution, though yes, it sure feels like it sometimes. Somebody call it Fallout! Somebody call Fallout!
So they don't have pure RNG in a technical stance, but the pellets, they rotate. So you can't predict where the pellets are going to go every time because the pellets don't go to the same angle every time.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's not RNG, but it's you're not counting which angle your pellets are coming out at. You're shooting the gun.
It's like a roll of the dice. Like there's a preset number that you can get. You're not going to get, like, if you roll a standard die, it's not like you're going to get 8 on one die. You're always going to get 1 to 6. So that's
just your pellets don't come out at the same angle. Yeah, so it's not always the most consistent.
So
I guess it's not RNG based.
Right. And shotgun shots, and we know this from a lot of testing, contains 12 pellets spread across 3 rings. There's a center ring, inner ring, outer ring. So aside from the center, which is in a fixed location, each pellet is only randomized inside a defined wedge angle and or inner outer radius. Okay. Here we go. So global changes. Season 15 includes legendary stasis weapons, and we've seen some concern about how these are intended to work, particularly in PvP. So here are some of the details. Stasis weapons are in the power slot, but all other stasis weapons are in the kinetic slot. So power weapons are in the power slot. That makes sense. Derp. But it's saying that all other stasis weapons, there's not going to be an energy, like there's not going to be an energy type that sticks there. But all other stasis weapons are in the kinetic slot. This is to avoid overcrowding the energy slot, and so that it's reasonable to use one in match game content. The kinetic slot won't be renamed at this time. Stasis weapons don't intrinsically do anything different from weapons of any other damage type, but they are the only weapons that can roll with stasis perks. We generally intend stasis perks with slowing or freezing effects to have a kill trigger. This being easy enough to trigger in PvE and fun to use, but not obnoxious to play against in PvP.
I would agree that's making the gun pretty useless if you go for a stasis perk. So the first thing that I think of is that Stasis Sidearm they came out with, right? It's a good sidearm, but you're not seeing it even though it freezes people. So the fact that you have to get a kill before you can start slowing or freezing people, it might make it something fun to play with in 6s. That's not going to be a competitive choice.
No, not in trials. Not in trials or comp.
Definitely not.
I mean, that's the reason why it's like kill clip is good in some cases, but it's mostly 6s.
Yeah, a lot of people do not choose to use things kill clip rampage. I think stasis perks will fall into the same category. So although it sounds obnoxious that a weapon can slow you, if it's always a kill trigger, that's a really good decision by Bungie. In PvE, though, you could make some gnarly builds between having a stasis super and then freezing enemies with your weapons. That sounds really... I think it sounds like a really fun addition, and I'm glad they thought about PvP this time.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Twitter will be mad.
What did they do? They killed my boy. They killed my boy, chat. It happened. We got to say it.
Oh, my God.
I'm just going to say it like there's all these other words. They fixed the hot quick swap glitch. They said they were going to do it anyway. Hi, Myron.
I'm really surprised.
Really? They said they were going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been in the game for such a long time. I'm very, very surprised that they were able to fix it. I guess I'm not surprised that they did. I'm surprised that they were able to.
Why do you say that?
It's 8 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
well, yeah, I mean, it's
that
old.
Is an ancient glitch.
Yep. I mean, you think they just didn't have care before? Is that the deal?
I think before, since quick draw was a thing, the difference between quick draw and a quick draw glitch was very minor. But now with all the handling changes, people that can quick draw glitch in PvP are pretty dominant, and then quick draw glitching, or whatever you want to call it, quick swap glitching in PvE is always a DPS strat. And DPS shouldn't be really, it should be determined by your loadout. It shouldn't be determined by, you know, you swapping. Especially when on PC it's just a macro. I think that's the biggest issue. Yeah.
Quick swap. I'm so sad. Hi, if you're coming in, can we get a shout out from Myron? For Myron and Muraski too. I don't know if Lone Star's here, but I can give you guys a shout out here in a little bit. Okay, so here we go. We're talking about primary ammo. Running out of primary ammo has never been tactically interesting. Running out of it in PvE content or because you're on a tear in PvP was a weird and sometimes frustrating experience that we would like to not subject anyone in the future. What?
Infinite ammo.
Infinite ammo for primary weapons?
That's super hot.
That's, holy shiznit. Okay. Inertia Override.
That fixes a lot of issues with Grandmasters too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, now you can just always have kinetic, or not kinetic, just primary ammo all the time. All primary ammo weapons have infinite ammo. Inertia Override has been adjusted to account for there being no primary bricks. Drop mag's downside of reducing reserve ammo is now almost meaningless. Reworked to be reload speed in magazines minus negatives. It's plus reload speed, negative magazine side. As I almost didn't see that for a second.
Drop mag might get a huge buff from that. To
be honest. I mean the increase to reload speed is
it
very
depends
nice.
how big of a loss in the magazine size.
Right. Next up we've got compact arrow shafts upside of increasing reserve. I don't.
Is it just
that's a bow? That's a bow perk. That's a bow perk. So I'm probably like increased reserves or something like that. I honestly can't remember. I always use the one that has increased, not handling. I have the one that's accuracy and handling. Those two. Updated some perks that refer to reserves in a way that's no longer accurate. All right. So here. Oh my God. Jeez. Okay. I was gonna say, what about Fighting Lion? Because then that makes that thing absolutely broken. See notes on Fighting Lion and Sweet Business in the exotic section below. Target farming trials weapons is much more efficient in season 15. I will believe it when I see it. And we have some cool new perks for players to play with that we wanted to put on trials weapons. All trials weapons available in season 15 now have 7 perks in each column. It was 5. Sep, what do you think?
What does it mean?
To me, it makes
perks for players to play with that we wanted to put on trials weapons. These are trials weapons perks?
Apparently, it says target farming trials weapons. It's much more efficient in season 15, and we have some cool new perks for players to play with that we wanted to put on trials weapons. All trials.
Adding replayability and targeted loot is incredible for trials.
Yeah,
it gives a reason to play it. So that is what we need. I'm very interested to see what perks they're adding.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the big thing. Maybe they'll tell us. I wonder
if their trials perks are just good perks.
Yeah, well, in a way, it depends on how they do the target farming. Because if it's just like, hey, we've got like more perks, then that's the problem. Like, it's the bottom dollar problems. Because you can go into Gambit and do a bunch of bottom dollars, but you'll always get like crappy perks because there's like a bajillion perks on it. What were you gonna say?
That will be less of a problem if it is target farming, because then you'll be able to go for, it's not just the RNG of getting that, you can play a bunch of trials and then get that exact weapon. It sounds like they're making them trials perks.
Okay, moving, let's see. When max power levels on weapons launched and we reissued several weapons, we saw how frustrated players were at having to regrind their favorite roles since the perk pools hadn't changed. Based on that, our reissue guidelines from season 13 onwards were to replace most of the perks. Turns out that was an overcorrection, and that certain perks in the original pools had become part of the weapon's identity. Moving forward, the guidelines for reissues will be to remove the least useful 2 to 3 perks and add 2 to 3 newer perks that give the weapon some new options and may result in an entirely new top tier roles without removing the old one.
That's huge. That's really big.
But yeah, it makes like Waking Vigil could be really good again.
Yeah, things like Twilight got shot.
Chat, what are some other weapons that got killed by those perks? Just let me know. It says
some trials weapons, even Astral.
Yeah, I mean Astral.
Perks awful.
I would say that Astral's probably the most definitive one, the one that was the most definitive in terms of like how good it could be.
Yeah.
We've made some small adjustments to the weapons reissued in the 3.2.1 update to move these in the direction of the new reissue guidelines. And if you were wondering why our community managers were asking for what everyone's favorite roles were, now you know. Added 1 or 2 original perks to each. Oh yeah, all the moon weapons. Like all the moon weapons might be options now. Added 1 or 2 of the original perks to each column for the Luna weapons reissued, the Lectern weapons only. Since these can be target farmed, we're okay with increasing the size of the perk pools in this case. Added 1 of the original perks to 1 or both of the columns for the Dreaming City weapons reissued. Which ones are they? That's the real question. Since the Tiger Spite, Twilight Oath, Abide the Return. Since these can't be target farmed yet, we didn't want to increase the size of the pools by more than 1.
It'd make God rolls impossible.
Anything else, Sep? What do you think?
I think those are good changes that they're looking back on people's favorite weapons.
It makes it a lot more like people can go back and farm those things, but I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't felt the need to do that because I've been chasing the new weapons. And I feel like the new weapons, just because, and that could be because the perks weren't as good on the reissues. So
it's good for all our new Guardians, though.
Exactly. All the new folks who are coming in, it gives you a reason to get those. I mean, it depends on if they decide to make. Some people have been saying something about making Forsaken free, so that'll be interesting. That could come with Witch Queen. I don't know. Okay. Breach grenade launchers are increasing as a pain point. I was going to say Sep's going to talk about this a lot as a pain point in PvP, and with the shotgun nerf, we're seeing a small increase in usage. I love grenade launchers, but I've loved grenade launchers forever. This changes aims to reduce the ease of getting big splash damage for priming or cleaning up targets. We'll watch how things change and make further adjustments in a future update if needed. Note that we're fine with how they perform in PvE, so we have compensated there. Sweet. Reduced blast damage, blast radius by 0.4 meters. Blast radius decreased from 4.55 meters to 4.15. So it's just a bunch of numbers. So in other words, it looks like they're reducing blast radius. They're reducing splash damage, increasing damage in PvE by 12 because of the above splash damage changes. So that basically makes it the same. And then Wither Horde is unaffected. Cool.
So biggest thing is reducing blast radius is good because it's going to make it a little more of a skill shot, as Bungie likes to call it. It's going to take a little bit more effort. They did not reduce the damage enough, though. You should not be getting one hit by a grenade launcher without spike, because as you read the second point, this is reduces total damage from a direct hit from 220 to 200 before taking spike or proximity into account. That means a grenade launcher without spike grenades still one hits any guardian, and that is way too busted. It is a special GL. It should not be one hitting one person, and then if they have chain reaction, also one hitting their teammates.
Yeah.
So if you have spike, then you're speccing a perk specifically into one hitting a guardian. It makes a little more sense, but without it, I don't think it's enough of a damage reduction. It's enough of a blast radius reduction. It's not enough of a direct impact.
See,
reduction.
I've been using grenade launchers and loving them just because of the skill shot we've been talking about. You know, the idea of being able to shoot it, cleaning up people around corners. I think that's really fun, but it's
supposed
too
to
easy.
be a fun weapon. It's not supposed to be.
It's too easy.
It's not supposed to be good, right? It's supposed to be one of those things that's fun but not top option. Because if you have something that's like really fun to use and top option, then you end up with something a little unbalanced.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Wither Horde is unaffected, so Wither Horde is...
That's fine. Wither Horde's great.
Yeah, Wither Horde's great. It's going to be a really nice PvE weapon. Okay, so machine gun usage. While machine gun usage is surprisingly high, we felt that they weren't fulfilling their intended roles in high difficulty content. Ammo efficient, ad clear, and secondary target sustained damage. So, long story short, they've increased damage in PvE by 20%.
Hot.
Cool. Scout rifles and hand cannons have felt weaker than we'd like to in hard PvE content for quite some time. Increased damage versus miners by 15%.
Dope.
Okay. Yeah. See, the thing is funny is that like no one, like when it's PvE, people are like poggers, as long as it's like not like we've nerfed everything into the ground. Like, oh yeah, we buffed it a little bit. Okay. I mean, I've never really worried so much about hand cannons, except the fact that you feel like you're just pegging away at people when you're in Grandmasters. Everything else, you're one-shotting anything anyway with scouts and hand cannons. Okay, fusion rifles. This is going to... Well, they've completely reworked it. Probably because fusion rifles are going to be really good in the next season. And I think they want to have everyone use it more, especially because we've got linear fusion and fusion unstop, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, fusion rifles have benefited indirectly from the mid-season 14 shotgun nerf, but fusion rifle subfamilies weren't as different from each other as we wanted. We weren't all useful in a variety of content. So we looked through all of the options we had for diversifying them and ended up with substantial changes. This isn't intended to be a global buff to fusion rifles, but we expect some of these to be better counters to other weapons than they were previously.
Handling high impacts. I know high impacts are the best. But they are like,
yeah, like Plug 1. I can't remember if Plug 1 is or not, but we can take a look at it. All right, so they've given the projectiles travel time. So that probably has to do with the hit scan, non-hit scan. That's probably part of it too. We did like the idea of
hit scan.
Yeah, we did like this idea of behavior in Destiny 1, but on investigation found that there are networking issues with firing rapid bursts of non-hit scan projectiles. There we go. And they didn't play as well as they wanted to. We may look at this option again in the future.
Yeah, giving projectile travel time is overall really difficult to do in a game that's not server-based. We're still on a very host-to-host base. So when you have little instances, like you could say someone's lagging, sometimes you will hit someone on your screen and they will take 0 damage. That's why it has to be hit scan. So I think that's totally normal.
Burst rate of fire. This would meant touching design data and audio for every fusion rifle we've ever shipped. Well beyond that scope we wanted for this change, and also not that interesting a change. Okay, so interesting. They've increased PvE damage bonus such that all subfamilies have a 15% PvE bonus. Cool. Previously, high impact was 0%. Yeah, I mean, GG's on that one. Precision, yeah. Precision and adaptive were 10%, and rapid fire was 12.5. They've pushed the subfamilies further apart, adjusting charge time, shots fired per burst. It was 7. I actually didn't know that. I thought it was 6 or 4, 5 or 6. Was 7 for all subfamilies, and damage. Note that the base damage below means without battery perks, a charge time masterwork or adept charge time. I hope they address something here, but Sep, what do you think?
About the adjusting the time, I think for the most part that's fine, because high impacts are the strongest, and adaptive came in second, but they're really murdering high impacts with those changes right below.
Yeah, so we're gonna go through them. High impacts charge slower, and while still strong, require more planning to use effectively. Base charge time has been increased by 0.86 seconds to 1. That's actually huge. It's a huge
It's
amount.
a lot bigger than people think.
Yeah, that seems like it's not a lot. That's a lot when you're using a fusion rifle. Shots per burst reduced from 7 to 5. Reduced total.
That's like a 30%.
Because if you miss something, if you miss a shot, then you're just done. Like you're toasted.
Reduced total damage per burst.
Okay, reduced total damage per burst. That's just. I feel like precisions and adaptives. In playtesting, we've found that charging these in the open is super risky, but pre-charging around corners and otherwise in safety is very effective. With the reduced shots per burst, these are now less reliant on stability, so can stack a bit more range. So you think that those are going to be like the range archetypes, you think?
Yeah.
So you have to be pretty close to get the precision and adaptives.
They're saying these are like the shotgun archetype.
Yeah. Sliding around corners with... not kickstart. What is it called? Cornered. That could also be another thing. I'm hoping. I'm looking down here. Okay, we'll see what happens.
That's the thing about that's the thing about fusions, right? Fusions got nerfed last week.
Mm-hmm.
They get nerfed next week. Sorry, but they got nerfed. The slide nerf. So the biggest thing that fusions rely on right now are kickstart and slide shot. Those are both incredible perks to have on fusions. So now, fusions, they don't rely on range stat, they rely on stability stat. So when slide is now going to nerf your stability and accuracy, sliding is now no longer an option for fusions, and those were their best perks. So now to see that fusion or the high impacts are also less reliant on stability, I think the only way you're going to use them is as a shotgun. I don't think you're going to be able to hit that same range anymore. They lost their best perks.
Yeah, I mean that's huge.
So for PvE, this might not be the biggest thing, but for PvP, high impacts look very, very, very useless.
Okay, going on to the next set. Precisions and adaptives are close to unchanged. Base charge time is unchanged. Shot per burst is unchanged at 7. Very slightly increased total damage per burst. In playtesting, we feel that these are very effective all around without stepping on the niches of high impact and rapid fire. I'll be keeping a good plug one. Yeah.
I think adaptives and precisions are going to be your PvP fusions now, as opposed to like Glacioclasm or Intel.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Rapid fires charge faster, allowing them... Yeah, because they've been... Rapid fires are useless, at least in the current sandbox.
Rapid fires hit for so little.
Yeah, and they just can't compete, so let's see what they say. Rapid fires charge faster, allowing them to be reused reactively against charging enemies or aggressively when pushing forward. Base charge time decreased by... Okay, that's interesting. 0.54 to 4.6 seconds. Shots per burst increased from 7 to 9. Increased total damage per burst.
I wonder if those can be a shotgun replacement for PvP.
Well, in a lot of ways, I feel like Stasis,
if you're good with them.
I feel like
the thing about rapid fires, you have to hit a lot of that.
Yeah, you have to hit a lot of your, because all the bursts are a little bit less, just because there's 9 instead of the 7. But I feel like I felt like that was always the identity of Stasis, is they was supposed to be a defensive super. And I feel like this is the same way. Like it's like, how do you fight against a shotgun rusher, right? So a lot of what they're changing is like how to be effective against people who are using shotguns, or make it so people who are using shotguns, it's super, you have to be movement based. And we've talked about that before, movement being the critical point of the game.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's see. In play test, we already talked about that. In play testing, we found that these are very effective against shotgun rushers. The combination of them needing to be closer and you have a shorter charge time work well together. And if you have good enough timing, you can fire 2 bursts with a rapid fire before a high impact user finishes charging their first. Okay.
I think rapid fires could have a spot, but I still think precisions and adapters.
I think especially just having the range, good plug one. I'm going to be farming that a lot when they
rapid
come back.
Fires seem like they'll be more fun now.
Yeah, I'm interested. Let's see. With the increased damage per burst, they are now more reliant on stability, but with the increased damage, they're less reliant on range. True. Parts of this work required adjusting several fusion rifle perks in one mod. Backup plans implementation was incompatible with the fusion rifle changes, and we felt like the perk could use a rework anyway. So they've removed plus 100 to charge time stat, adjusted charge time multiplier from 0.85 to 0.7. It now scales damage by 0.8.
Backup plan's always been a bad mod, or not always. It's been a bad mod since it got nerfed. So
Since it got nerfed.
We'll see how it changed. Yeah.
Liquid coils and accelerated coils needed a rework for similar reasons. They both converted to scale charge time and damage instead of modifying the charge time stat. The final effect is much the same as before, but now these are more robust. However, they won't visibly change the charge time stat in the inspection screen.
Okay, so they work, but you won't see it.
Yeah. This is the thing that I've been talking about with fusion rifles. I hate it when I get a god roll fusion rifle and then it has the charge time, the adept charge time mod, or like any charge time like piece on it, because it's like I'm getting this awesome weapon, but now I'm nerfing it when I'm upgrading it. Like,
yeah,
what's the point? So I'm hoping that that we're going to talk about it. I see it coming up here. The adept charge time mod felt pointless, and we would like it to still be balanced against other mods if it didn't reduce damage. Changed functionality to scale charge time directly instead of changing the charge time stat without adjusting the damage.
So it's once again not going to be visible, but it won't nerf your damage, but it will still change the feel of it.
Okay, this is my big thing. A note on the charge time masterwork. A fusion rifle's damage is determined by its charge time stat, similar to how most other weapons' damage is determined by their rate of fire stat. So the more you can fire it, the less damage it has generally, just to make it easy. If you got one big slug, it's going to do a lot of damage versus 10 little bullets. So Masterworks can only increase weapon stats for performance reasons, so it's not possible to change how charge time maps onto damage without big changes to how the charge time stat works. We've investigated doing this by making the Masterwork a perk. This would cause fusion rifles to exceed the perk budget, resulting in bad things happening. So that bad things happening, chat, is like when they buff something up and it has unintended consequences.
Yeah.
With the fusion rifle rework, we feel that this Masterwork is more viable. It now rarely reduces bolts to kill, so may not feel like a downgrade in the same way as before. Good. That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear. And of course, they say we're going to be watching how this plays out. Adjusted the fusion rifle stat order so it matches other weapons, stability, and handling. We're out of order. Whatever. That's fine. This is a big change to fusion rifles, including all exotic Oh, I see what's coming up, chat. So we'll be watching for any major issues and we'll make tweaks as needed. Oh, except anything before.
It's time to kill it. It's time to kill it.
Boys, here we go. Here we go. My baby. My boy. The Anarchy exotic grenade launcher has been dominant for years now. Remember when it came out, chat? Everyone thought it was going to be worthless. No, I'm serious. If you played during Scourge of the Past, and you're like, oh, it's so you could put it on the ground. And then we figured out that it was the best.
Everyone thought it was trip mines.
Yeah, everyone thought it was trip mines and that you couldn't attach it to enemies. So it's just like Recluse, and it's just like Mountaintop. We originally thought they were going to be trash weapons, and they ended up being the best weapons in the game. They didn't buff a thing when those weapons originally came out. So the Anarchy exotic grenade launcher has been dominant for years now. skipping all the other flavor stacks, being near mandatory for certain raid bosses combined with double slug shotguns, as well as excelling as a solo weapon and for ad clears in some encounters. We like that it's a great choice for hard solo content and trapping enemy spawns choke points, but don't want it to be remain part of a dominant tactic for boss damage. And particularly don't want it to be great for boss damage and ad clears in a single encounter. With this change, we expect it to remain strong without being borderline usable as a primary weapon. So, they've reduced the total reserve magazine ammunition from 26 to 16. They've reduced the damage by 30% versus bosses.
That gun is dead.
It's toast. I mean, sheesh. We knew it was going to happen, chat, though. It's good. It's had its time in the sun. What's it been? 3 years?
Even with the changes, I think Xenophage is still going to be the go-to.
Yeah. All right. Xenophage is up next. By the way, go pick up the ornament if you haven't already, because that ornament is tent. It's awesome. So, Xenophage was already top-notch, so didn't need to get the benefit from the global machine gun buff. It does benefit from the damage per bullet buff to machine guns, but now has a slower rate of fire to compensate. Interesting. Resulting in slightly lower damage per second, but higher burst damage and sustained damage. Blah, blah, blah. They've reduced rate of fire from 120 to 90 RPM. I think it's still going to be good, though. I'm with you, Sep.
Really good.
I think it's still going to be really good. So, to me, Xenophage...
Better than Anarchy.
Well, it's going to be better than Anarchy no matter what. And, you know, I don't know how much Warmind cells are going to be, like, absolutely destroyed. I think they're still going to have a good place. But, yeah, it's going to be much more of a choice if you're just wanting to clear waves of ads. So, that'll be interesting. Yeah. Fighting Lion has always been fun, but not dominant in PvE, so we weren't worried about the infinite ammo would be there. However, enabling...
Just getting infinite ammo. Oh, my God. What?
However, enabling fast unlimited grenade spamming was too much in Dude, if you've ever played against someone who plays really well and knows how to use Fighting Lion, it is obnoxious. It is obnoxious. If you get some... But, I mean, that was that skill shot thing we were talking about before, Sep, you know? But anyway, going on. However, enabling fast unlimited grenade spam was too much in PvE based on internal playtest, you think? So we've addressed that specific case without significantly impacting its feel in PvE. So Fighting Lion reserve ammo is increased from a lot to infinite.
French.
Receives the same changes as the other grenade launchers. So in other words, it's going to be harder to hit, though. So I mean, there's that, but still infinite. Reduced base reload stat to 0. Breach grenade launchers have 0 reload stat very, very slowly. Yep. Now increases reload speed to its previous level on damaging multiple enemies with 1 grenade. We'll be keeping an eye on this, but believe it's in a good place with this change. And note that we're not going to over-nerf an exotic with its own subreddit. You shouldn't be manually reloading Fighting Lion anyway. Okay.
We'll see.
That could be the skill shot weapon, chat. That's nasty because being able to... My thing is that there's a lot of really good PvP players. And a lot of times what they will do if they're in a position where they've overextended and they're getting their life back is that they will hide around corners. Like I see like all top tier PvP players doing it. And there is nothing easier than pegging away at them with grenade launchers when they're sitting behind a corner or something like that. If you know how to use your angles, it's obnoxious. Like, I've done it, I've used it, but I've also played against it. Go ahead, Seb.
Yeah. I just think that something like Fighting Lion probably shouldn't have infinite ammo, but since it's saying that with the 0 reload stat, it's hoping that people just use it to give the chain ability where you shoot it and then get a kill with your primary. If it's used like that, I think that's fine, but we're definitely going to have to see on that one. I don't know.
See, it's interesting. You shouldn't be manually reloading Fighting Lion anyway. That's an interesting phrase. That's really interesting to me.
If people just double spec in a grenade launcher loader with Ophidian aspects, then you have an infinite ammo grenade launcher.
Right. It doesn't as catalyst. The catalyst gives you reload speed on it. But if you're a hunter, you're just going to dodge, you know? You might chain into dodging and reloading really quickly twice.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what's coming up next because I've been waiting for this gun to be good. So, chat, here we go. We were cautious with tuning this one at launch, knowing that shipping a dominant weapon that has incredibly low ownership would break PvP and aimed for balance, but erring on the side of not letting it ship too strong because it was way too powerful back in V1. However, it felt short of balanced. Ownership is much higher now for all those people who don't have it. Ooh. Sorry. And we wanted to... Do you have it?
No.
I'm so sorry.
It's rigged against me.
I totally just started laughing at it. Oh, God. However, it felt short of balanced. Ownership is much higher now, and we want it to be strong enough to be a desirable reward from Vault of Glass. Go figure. Pve Damage Bonus is increased by about 40%. Range stat increased to be near best in class for high-impact auto rifles. Increased the stability stat. Reworked Catalyst to grant stability and damage after a kill. Increased rate of fire from 360 to 390. Reduced linear fusion rifle mode charge time from 820 to 533, which is the same as standard linear fusion rifles. No longer loses overcharge stacks on stow. That's great. That's actually great. I like that a lot. Except when in linear fusion rifle mode. Thoughts?
Sounds cool for you guys. I don't think it's going to change the way it is in PvP.
Yeah, I mean, I would
It's very
assume...
inconsistent. That's the issue with it.
I would assume that it's still not going to be like really that powerful in super high-end PvP. I mean, I'm excited to use it in PvE, especially with all the changes.
Damage buff with the insane charge rate time. You guys are getting what, like a 70% damage buff on your linear fusion rifle Vex. So that's insane.
I think that could be really, really solid next season, depending on what the solar shield situation is. So
yeah.
Merciless. We've had to touch this anyway because of the fusion rifle changes and figured if we're in there, we might as well make a buff we've been thinking about because it was nerfed. But then it used to be a heavy weapon back in the day. It used to be the weapon you'd bring in Leviathan at the bath section.
The year one, yeah.
It was a really good year one. It was like the year one Gallarhorn.
That and Wardcliff.
Yeah, that and Wardcliff, those two weapons, exactly. They updated the perk to account for fewer shots per burst. Should build up charge rate at the same amount as the burst as before, so they've reduced the damage penalty for increasing charge rate by 40%. So in other words, chat, because they're changing the way the fusion rifles work, when they increase the charge time, theoretically, it's supposed to make it so that you get less damage, but now they're reducing that penalty. So here's interesting. Jotun. Because of how the charge time stat works with fusion rifle changes, we made a small change to avoid breaking the weapon. In playtesting, it makes almost no difference, but if I didn't mention it, someone would notice. Reduced charge time from 0.82 seconds to 0.78. Slightly reduced damage per shot. I still think it's going to be God tier in PvP. Or PvE. PvE. Yeah. I mean, with Anarchy going away, Jotun has really good damage.
Does it?
It does. I used it back all the time when I was doing all my 0-hour runs. I used to use that thing all the time. Like when I was originally doing some of my helps for 0-hour, it was broken. It was ridiculous. Well, the only thing is that with the new content, you had to choose an exotic slot. So then Witherhoard came out, and then Anarchy made more of a statement as an exotic slot weapon. So it kind of got put away. And they did and it was really good. I mean, I think it's going to be really strong in PvE. I don't see it really being super duper strong in PvP. I just don't. It's a meme weapon in PvP anyway. If you get killed by it, it's kind of like, oh, I did something stupid. Like, you know?
Yeah.
How do you feel about Bastion?
I see that it can't one-hit a Guardian. So that's insane.
It's nuts. I know that Will in chat was saying something about it too. Bastion feels super strong with shotguns being less dominant, so we're preemptively adjusting it in PvP. It's also super low usage in PvE, so we're buffing it in there too. So they reduce damage by 15%, can now not quite kill a Guardian with a one-shot in the 3 burst it fires. Increased spread angle by 10%, increased PvE damage by 25%. So it's about a 10% increase in PvE.
Yeah, honestly, like, it might not seem like it, but that pretty much kills Bastion. It almost makes it useless.
I mean,
it can't kill in the one shot.
I usually used it because couldn't you one-shot Guardians with it in Super?
Yeah.
See, to me,
You could one hit a Titan shield and then one hit a super.
I wonder if that's what they mean. If they mean you think it's going to be straight up like kill a Guardian,
because
period.
Some supers are not that much damage resistance. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say that's pretty much killing Bastion.
Okay. Sweet Business's perk, refilling the magazine when picking up primary, no longer works in a world without primary ammo, so it's been adjusted. It now refills the magazine on picking up special ammo instead of primary. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Firing line. Ooh, is firing line going to come back? Yo, I love the idea of firing line. We like the idea of the perk. It was just giving away too much damage for almost free. Reduced damage bonus to plus 20 precision damage for all. Okay, I gotta finish this, and I have something to say about this. Reduced damage bonus to plus 20% precision damage for all supported weapon archetypes. Is highly variable depending on the weapon type. We'll roll on some sniper rifles, linear fusion rifles, and machine guns, and maybe offer some other stuff in the future.
Make a perk that doesn't get used worse.
I am sick of them nuking sniper rifles in PvE. Like, I said this to Pidgey over on Twitter because everyone was talking about, Azumi snipers, and they were talking about PV rolls. Yeah. There's no reason to use snipers in PvE. There hasn't been a reason to use it since Shadowkeep because they nuked it. They nuked it into the ground. So whoop-de-doo, I'm going to use firing line. I'm going to be using all of my fusion rifles and stuff, which is fine. Maybe that's the whole idea, is using fusion rifles more now. But obviously, snipers are really strong in PvP if you're good at it and you get the skill shot. But
what's the point in nerfing firing line if you're not going to nerf Vorpal, though?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that snipers are worthless, Chad. It's just I'm saying that they're nerfed. Like, you can use them like Izanagi's when you go into PvE. I use snipers on like Master Atheon or things like that. But for most content, you're leaning into double primaries a lot of time anyway because of the way that they've got the perks and the stuff set up for Grandmasters. I'm talking about endgame content. Like, if you're just bombing around at strikes, use whatever you want. But anyway, that's my whole thing, is like, give us reasons to use sniper rifles. I would say reduce how much ammo you can have, but increase the damage so it's a better choice, you know? Being able to take down a couple of champions with it would be really good. Anyway. Certain damage perks only affect impact damage on explosive weapons, and we've updated these specific perks to also increase the detonation damage. So Kill Clip, Rampage, Adrenaline Junkie. Kill Clip's going to be nice on Time Lost Fatebringer. So we're still going through it.
Okay.
Yeah. Weapon FX were all custom, and some didn't meet our desired cool factor, so we've rebuilt those to speed up the process of adding new weapons or updated old ones, while updating the visuals at the same time. Updated all grenade launcher and rocket launcher VFX. So in other words, we're gonna get some new stuff next season. Grenade launchers.
Prettier.
I mean, Destiny's already a beautiful game. I still think that the reason most people play it is not because of the rewards or things like that. I think they do it because it feels good most of the time. Like, it feels good to go into the game when you shoot something with Fatebringer, or you get an awesome shotgun shot, or you get a snipe. The sound combined with the way that it looks and it feels, along with your control inputs, whether it's controller or mouse and keyboard, there is no game that does it better. Now, I haven't played the new Halo, but for me and a lot of people, I think that it's just the feeling of the game. So
Absolutely.
Okay, so they're going to talk about things that they're going to look at, but they're not putting into Season 15 chat. So we're devoting a lot of energy to the Witch Queen expansion. There are a lot of things changing in the next few weeks. So we're going to see how things shake out before doing further tuning at Witch Queen. So the more distant future, linear fusion rifles and caster frame swords are still not where we want them to be, so expect some tweaks. I don't know if that's going to be nerfs or buffs. I would assume that'd be buffs because they're kind of
yeah, caster swords are bad.
Yeah, we're also looking at underused or underpowered exotics, and we'll be taking a pass at some of them, including Arbalist. Ooh, Suros Regime. I've never been able to say cryo, but I'm just going to say cryo, malfeasance, and more. If you have issues with spamming high rate of fire semi-automatic weapons as fast as possible, we've got something in the works for you. Priming a target and quickly swapping for a cleanup is easier than we'd like. We're looking at options for building towards faster swap speeds.
Ooh.
But without the quick swap glitch.
Yeah, so they're making it so you can go faster, and they're removing the glitch so it'll be overall slower. It'll be more accessible. Handling.
Witch Queen and beyond. We've talked previously about wanting legendary weapons to have more identity based on their source, and expect to ship a new system for this in or close to the Witch Queen. In Season 15, we tweaked exotic primary weapons to generate ammo faster through ammo finding mods, and we have another change planned to make them more enticing in hard PvE content. Whew! Damn. Sep, anything else?
Primary's been bad for a while in PvE, so it'll be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, Ace of Spades would be fun to use if it wasn't bad, but... All right, we got to talk about the next seasons.
Guns.
So, guns. So, the new season ritual weapon is a rocket launcher with explosive light perk. As is the custom, you'll receive a new quest to earn this weapon, and then you can collect Gambit, Crucible, Vanguard Theme weapon items. Yeah, that actually looks poggers.
I love rockets. I wish they were a little bit better in Crucible.
They used to be a really good option in year one, so I feel like they nuked them into the ground when Forsaken came out, and they're slowly making their way back up. Now with Anarchy,
they're just slightly better than a GL.
Yeah,
but GLs have 3 shots, so there's no reason not to use it.
You're either going to use Anarchy. Well, Anarchy is a GL, so I mean, there you go. So that actually looks poggers. Explosive light. Do we have that perk in the game right now? I honestly don't remember.
I think so.
I can't remember what it is. Let me look it up real quick. I'm just forgetting.
I'm pretty sure it's the same as what's that grenade launcher that everybody used?
Let's see. Picking up an orb. Oh yeah. Picking up an orb of light increases the next grenade's blast radius and damage. So that was the one. That was the grenade launcher from the Vanguard.
Wendigo.
And I just can't remember what it is. Chad will probably tell me here in a second.
Isn't it Wendigo?
Yeah, Wendigo. Yep, that was it. GG's. I use that back all the time in Garden of Salvation. We're adding 3 weapons as post-game rewards for completing Vanguard Strikes, Gambit, and Crucible matches. This will drop randomly after completing these activities with random rolls. Looks to be
not IS Luna.
Yeah, not an IS Luna, so RIP PvP.
They're saving it for Witch Queen?
Yeah, I would assume so. Oh, baby, this looks good. I'm going to come down here in a second. All right, so there's the...
Sudden death.
Yes. Yep. I cannot wait for that. All right, so I'm not sure which scout this is. I stop making sidearms a thing, Destiny. Stop trying to make sidearms a thing. They're not a thing. Just stop it.
It's a full auto sidearm too.
Yeah,
so it's just automatically bad.
Yeah, it's just not going to be good.
The burst ones are only good.
The Suros auto rifle could be good, but I still think that pulses and hand cannons are still going to be poggers, unless if that's like a super high impact and they do something like that. All right.
Probably going to be a Galliard.
We also have plans to freshen up the loot pool of the Prophecy dungeon. Give it to us in the new.
It's going
to make it good to farm, and like that'll be cool to help out.
Long Walk and Sudden Death are all insane.
They're all great weapons, and I'm really excited to them. These, so if you guys didn't use these are the old year 1 Trials of the 9 weapons. When Trials of the 9 was the thing before Trials of Osiris, Trials of Osiris.
The better Trials.
I like this stuff better. I get what they're doing with the Trials of Osiris. I like the whole scheme.
Trials of the 9 was better.
I think Trials of the 9 was better too, but it was ruined, and I said it earlier. Token system and the double primaries just ruined it.
Double primaries
and the movement. You like the double primaries?
No radar was good.
No radar. I remember those days. Didn't they do that for like a season?
No radar was all of
Was it the whole of? Oh my god, that actually would be crazy. Yeah, but I use that pulse rifle all the time. I use the pulse rifle, they're not bringing what's the scout rifle again called? We'll have to look, chat. I'll have to look at my collections.
I do not see the scout rifle.
Yeah, the scout rifle's not here. So we got sniper, pulse rifle, looks like auto rifle.
Is this not every weapon?
No.
Scout rifle?
No, scout rifle. Oh no, it's pulse rifle. I don't see the scout. This looks like the auto rifle.
I'm saying, I think it's all the weapons but the scout.
It's all the weapons but the scout. Yep.
That's weird.
On top of the weapons, we're also updating the world perks with some fresh drops. Here are some new weapons you can start expecting to see up in the wall. Ooh, okay. So there's a bunch of really good weapons here.
The
all right.
Scout's good.
Okay. So there's a couple.
That's a good scout because it's the Vice Scout, or sorry, the full auto scout.
Yeah. So chat, we're going to take a second and just look at collections. So let's see. We've got weapons, scout rifles. That's going to be what's the name of it again? Looks like, well, Haunted Earth is the one from up on top. That's definitely the Haunted Earth. The one that they're adding to the
such a bad scout.
Yeah, it's not going to be great. I'm just looking around at what else there is. Pulse rifles. We've got the legal action is coming back. The auto rifle is... Oh, I used it all the time. Is it Scathlock, I think? Let me look at the weapon model. Yeah, it's Scathlock. Scathlock. Sidearm is... spoiler alert? Yeah, spoiler alert. Then hand cannon. I don't see it, chat. Yeah, but I'm really excited. Like, Judgment was a cool... I really like the idea of Judgment. It's going to be really nice in the current meta. Like, I think that could be good. Is that Relentless, I believe? Relentless was the Pulse, which I freaking loved. But it does not look like... Where are you? I'm just blind, chat. I'm looking for it.
First page.
It's not the end. The end isn't coming back. And then there was...
The end is the scout.
Yeah, Purpose. Purpose was the really dope scout that I loved. I loved Purpose. It was a kinetic version of the Manana and Scout rifles. So you'd use those in the Devil Primary system because scouts were so powerful. You just use Purpose in a slot and you use Manana in a slot, and it's ripped through everything. It was really good.
In PvP too.
Yeah, it was really strong. Yep. All right, we're keeping on going. So new guns or redone guns. So that's interesting. Yeah. So that seems to be most of the stuff from the TWAB. So they've got a bunch of stuff here from like the end of the season and really good things you want to check out. And I'll link it down in the description, guys. You should definitely come check it out. But Sep, anything you want to talk about?
Really good changes. Surprised that they are absolutely murdering the fusions, but we'll see. Adaptives are still good.
Adaptives could be really good. Good plug one is going to be...
Grenade launcher changes are good, but Fighting Lion is bad.
Fighting Lion is going to be rough, man. I don't know.
Overall, pretty happy about it, though.
I think that it will see a good shake up to the sound box. So, yeah, it's awesome. Guys, make sure that you go follow Sep. If you have not followed Sep, what are you even doing with your life? So, for those people who are watching the YouTube video, twitch.tv/SEPARER. I play a lot of PvE. Sep is a PvP goblin. So, and he does trials helps all the time.
Every night at 6 p.m. PST. It's so much.
Yeah.
So much.
It was good talking, man. It was absolutely blessed. I'm just going to wrap up the video here, but we can keep talking on stream so I can put this over on YouTube. So I'll be right back. All right, guys. So if you did like the video, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what you think of it. Do you like this format where I walk through the TWAB like this? I've been doing it over on YouTube. We're doing like a live stream, but I wanted to do this over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Mano Destra. Make sure you go follow Sep. He's a homie. Do appreciate you guys checking it out. What do you guys think of the changes? Drop it down in the comment section below, and we'll see you next time in the universe of Destiny. Bye, everybody. See you next time.